I bought like a big like box of chamomile tea bags in Germany, like at DM. They sell this like 50 pack box for I don't know, €2 or something.
When did you buy them?
Like when
When?
I visited like was it like the beginning of last month? Yeah.
Remember exactly.
Like I just like went to Germany for like a weekend just to pick up some of things and
Yeah, yeah. I now, for instance, for me, what I found it's weird, no, how like cultures are. I mean, it's cultures like, but it's because how, yeah, I guess in how it's in different countries, like the products, no, the goods.
yeah.
So say for instance, like now I to have these soft wet towels for cleaning
Mm,
instead of toilet paper. Uh, in Germany, that's like, you buy a bunch of those, like 50 package of that, like small ones. It's like €1, 99 cents in Rossmann. And in Belgium, the same amount will be €8.
I see. Yeah. Like since I came here, like I realized, Germany is a huge factory, like they
Yeah,
produce things like
yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. There's a good way to yeah, to see it. It's a huge factory indeed. Yeah, they have a lot of goods.
yeah. And
And
they also export it. I mean, that's why it's rich. Like here I find like for example, like cleaning products, a lot of them are from Germany.
right. I mean,
And
especially that I remember at some point I was checking that I think especially that comes in the European Union history, how the economic borders have been open. Like you have the founding members of the EU, and I think there are just like five. And then you have this second round of addition of big number of amount of additions. And I think part of their conditions, like one is, of course, like some human political conditions. That's partly why some of the countries of the Soviet Union bloc have not been easily at or not yet at, because of the political conditions and standardization of what is democracy, quote unquote, for the Western point of view. But also then next to it, then you have basically all the small countries who were added that were forced to introduce the euro. That's one. And second, to I mean, with that also allowing the borders to go down. And that kill a lot of small enterprises, especially I mean, that counts especially for France and Germany, that are
yeah,
just the big producers.
yeah,
Uh, um, just like small countries that were just like, then you see when you travel to some certain countries that you will find everywhere at DM, at Rossmann, and all these things.
yeah.
Well, I remember when I was here, the first year when I was moving, when I started traveling, and I was comparing to Belgium, like I think the first Starbucks here was open just, I don't think more than, yeah, I think should be less than 10 years ago.
Mm.
Yeah, less than 10 years ago. We were still, yeah, maybe around 10 years ago. And KFC, Burger King, like these things were not existing when I arrived in Belgium.
Oh
Because
wow.
I was very happy every time I was traveling, because Belgium anyways is small, so you don't have pluridiversity that you will have in a big country anyway. Uh, but then Belgium was very protective with its borders economically, but they were one of the
Mm.
founders of the EU.
Yeah,
So they have that, yeah, they didn't have that downfall that they have other countries, that especially countries that were like those countries that came from the um bloc, a Soviet bloc, Budapest, Romania, like Bulgaria, those countries that were in a asymmetrical position economically, big asymmetrical position, um, they were smashed by German goods.
Yeah, but in Romania, do they still use their currency or is
Yeah.
euro?
No, they use their use. I think now I think because I was interested in that, and I think part of so a part of the agreement was like, okay, they keep their currency because otherwise it will collapse, but they anyway they open
For the
the
trade?
industry
Yeah.
and trades. But then there was an agreement that in I don't know how many years, I think it was like 10 years, because then they have to convert to euro.
Mm,
And I think Romania, like there are some countries who are still not fully part of Schengen. So Romania is one of those. Bulgaria is also there. They're not Schengen part. They are part of the European Union economical trade zone, but they don't have Schengen. But I don't know exactly what are the conditions of Schengen. But
yeah.
when you go to Romania, you need to like show your passport, even for these things.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they are also doing it in the UK when they were still part of the EU.
I mean, not for nationals. Like
Oh,
people, not for nationals, you usually throw out your ID card and that's it. Like Schengen, like that's the thing with the Schengen. I think you have free mobility. And also in South America, I think it's the same with the countries of I don't know how it's called, but in South America also like these islands is
mm,
travel with your ID card. And if you're
yeah,
allowed, and then if you want, you can just go and move there. And depending of the country or not, it takes a time, a bureaucratic time, but you're allowed to leave, to move and live somewhere else.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, they have this also like agreement between Canada and the US. I mean, you have to be a citizen, but you can make a card. I think it's called Nexus or something.
Yeah, I heard of that. I think it's Nexus
Yeah,
too.
yeah. And I felt bad when, like I'm joining a road trip to the US. All my friends are Canadians, so if they're just Canadians, they can have this drive-through lane at the border. But because of me, they have to park the car and go to the counter where they have the border control. And meanwhile, they will check the car.
To see if there are some humans in the car. To see,
Yeah, like humans or items or whatever.
yeah, man. Yeah. So yesterday I have a meeting with Motion DAO. It was nice because we were trying to meet for, I don't know, the last year, I think.
Mm,
But it was difficult. And
yeah.
we finally meet, and also Marlon finally appeared. He was not there, and we were like,
Oh,
oh,
okay.
okay. And I guess I was reluctantly trying to take this leadership position.
Oh
I mean,
no.
leadership, not like I was leading.
Like to moderate.
Also, yeah, also I was the one who pushed the group, like, okay, when are we meeting? And then I proposed to meet, like doing
Uh,
all these things. I thought, okay, let's do it with them. Let's do it. Um, and then we are there and he's not there, and I'm like, oh no. So then I have to then be a bit more, okay, where are we here? And it's just a mess. But he appeared at some point, and he was very happy. I'm very happy also. I want to share the news that he finally got he got an offer to have a research position in the University of Florida in the
okay.
Department of Arts and Artificial Intelligence. So they have um, some project that he will be a researcher there for at least 3 4 years.
Cool.
Uh, so it's super good news because Marlon is somebody that he's I don't know. Have you met him? Have you he respond to you?
No.
Okay, maybe I can talk to him because with him I talk. So I talk sometimes. With Krot I don't talk. Sometimes with Krot,
Mm,
but Marlon is I consider him a friend, a relative. I mean, he's somebody that I look up. Yeah, but to share like about Marlon, so I met Marlon in Documenta.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
we met that in person, and at some point he just shared the struggle. He just basically shared that he's tired of doing that process, because
Mm,
he's always like living in communities and doing that process and leading that process and just living with his fingernails and just from grant to grant, and it's just a tiring process. But and while I was on the other side, so for instance, it was the whole conversation started somehow around institutional racism, or like that's not the exact word, but yeah, I think it's, yeah, something that embedded, something that is embedded in our culture. Um, so that for so it I felt we started a conversation because he was saying that on his path, working on dance and technology, he's a pioneer in these frameworks, and in this path, being a Latin American person living in the States, and he was highly affected often of this discrimination.
yeah, yeah,
While I was saying that I actually, in the place where I am back then, um, that I actually have benefits from the fact of being not white male. So we are at the other side, and so we started a conversation there, and also then he was like, I don't know, sharing some insights. Back then, I remember I was working on this application, working on Ars Electronica with Claudia and Daniela. So I remember there was back then that I was like, oh wow, and this, and so then he was also giving some feedback and like, like yes, but no, but yes, but from his experiences with big frameworks and I don't know,
yeah.
uh, institutional people and things like that. So I mean, I'm sharing this to say that it has been a struggle for him, like all
Mm,
his life, and then he found I just knew yesterday that at some point he they offered him just like in Lake Studios in Berlin
okay.
to go there and come and live here. And he
Mm,
just took the opportunity, and then he has been living in Berlin for 1 year. And in 1 year, this guy capitalized many ideas that he has in his head for all this time. And he's found out that this body of work that he's constantly producing on artificial intelligence tools. He just have like non-stop of producing website, like different kind of artifacts around things that I guess have been with him, not like since always, but that now it materialize in web interfaces, often through artificial intelligence. And it's through
yeah,
that exercise that now he has like such a body of work. Then they were interviewing him. He told us that the interview was like an 8-hour interview, like that it was he has to give a class in coding and then a class in his practice, and then I don't know, like different things, like it's like almost like 8 hours. Crazy. So yeah, anyway, so he jumped late and he jumped with this energy like, oh sorry, I just got I just accepted the position in Florida. So that's super good for news for Marlon, if watch this. Or some people know Marlon. This is super deserved for him. I'm very happy. And that's to say it also is, I'm mentioning this in because um, so we are start thinking to do then showcasing. I don't know how will be that, but the way how Marlon seeing this is coming from his words, because I mean, he's coming from the States and also understand the European panorama. Um, from his understanding, and we are very much like a Latin or Ibero-American, maybe, including Portugal and Spain. We are an Ibero-American community, with basically we are a bunch of Latin American people living in different places. And he sees like Florida is a very good space to cross these things, especially
true.
being Florida. So it's great that he will have support to not have to worry from where to get the money to pay.
Yeah, it's funny because when you said Florida, thought about this friend in Houston right now. I mean, this is totally irrelevant, but because you said about this Ibero-American context, because the friend who I studied with in Colombia, but he's from Mexico, so he was the only international student at
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
at the maestria, because others are Colombian and he was the only Mexican. And now actually he started PhD. I think I told you maybe like in
No, no, no.
Houston that he's studying in Spanish,
In
like he
Houston.
in Houston, yeah. So
Wow.
it's about writing. So because when he said it's about writing, I was like, are you doing it in English? And then he's no, like the degree is in Spanish, like writing.
Wow.
Um, but it kind of makes sense because Houston is also, in that kind of area. I mean, I've been to Houston
I
for a
haven't.
study exchange, and
I haven't.
um, yeah, I don't know if there's like a, like Spanish or Hispanic community. Well, probably there is. I was not really engaged in that time because that was already like more than 10 years ago. So I don't really remember, but yeah, like it's starting to make sense, this landscape. And maybe we should also visit Florida or Houston. Probably not Houston, but Florida sounds fun to
Yeah, I
visit.
mean, like, I guess, like, I will be going in that this is gonna happen. No, so first, like, the first step is like in Mexico, because in Mexico there is, it's so funny. Like, so Marlon is a beautiful person. Like, he's very chaotic. It's very chaotic, but he's just full of energy, full of life. And I think I share with you sometimes with my interactions with them is like from my learning that has been hard down, like my own experience, like through path first in humanities and collectives, and then seeds, art and science. My learning has been, especially I guess with seeds and art and science in big groups, is in trying to learn how the white people speak. Be smart. Don't waste time of people. What are you saying? you know so that's my take on that. And when I came sometimes with this impulse in this collective motion DAO, because I also was in motion bank trying to do my thing, I didn't have so much time, but there was back then this rush on NFTs, and there was Marlon came to me. I think I shared with you. He was saying he was offering to pay me monthly something, I think, or and I was not completely understand what is it I was supposed to do. So it was very confusing. And I also didn't have the time. It was in this Telegram group, like, sometimes like, yeah, many message per day. I could not follow up also. Then you have to do this and create your wallet and cache this and move this there
Yeah,
in that all this process. And I was, oh wow, I cannot follow up through this. And my way to kind of catch up everything was, let's meet in Castle. That was my way to catch up with them. But in the meetings, I often know, but sometimes I was speaking from this um, domesticated Jorge. Um, um, and sometimes people like Marlon was saying, like, in a caring way, that, you know what, but maybe it's not like that. Like, maybe it's fine, you know. So we just, maybe it's fine. I think, like, the bottom line, my concern was about time, time. Like, we have to do something. What the fuck are we doing? Like, what are you saying? No, who said, like, just coming from this. This is not far away from the place that we are now, you and me, I mean, just in communication with some externals. So I was coming from, like, come on, guys, like, we cannot talk for 2 hours and not say anything. And and then sometimes they express, like, maybe that's what we need.
yeah,
And and Marlon was saying something yesterday that it stays with me. He says that, because it's still like we were like, say, okay, we come together, and Marlon comes with this energy. We are, oh, happy for you, but what does this mean?
Yeah.
What does this mean for us? Like, what it happens? Like, also because there was like we have one meeting at some point before when Dance.tech and Movimiento.org, which is the Latin spin on Dance.tech. We're about to, Marlon said at some point, I don't find fundings to host this anymore. This will shut down. And then some people, we just came together and said like, this cannot happen. We don't know, like, I haven't really like checked the websites, not moviment.org and Dance Tech fairly because it's a mess. Uh, but nevertheless, I know, like, I feel that cannot disappear, right? And other people jump in the conversation also to say like, we need to find funds, like we cannot let this die, because also it was not that much money. We just needed to find some funds, and at the end some money appeared, and still this thing is online. So that was like, the last time we meet is like, let's not let die this, let's find resources, then the money appears and we disappear. And now that we meet, so Marlon comes with this energy, and we are like, okay, but what are we doing? What are our goals? So do we want to do something? So I think bottom line is, what I'm trying to say is that Marlon was sharing different stories. I guess I'm not sharing now, but he just met everybody. Like he was he met like just this is just to show like this. He knew Angelo, like Angelo Vermeulen, from Seeds, when Angelo was doing the first iteration of Biomode before he met Peter and Diego.
Oh, wow.
So before Seeds exist, like the first Biomode, the Biomode that you participate, that you are credited,
No, I
is
did
Biomode.
yeah, I was
So
not
like the
quote unquote.
Biomode that you're credited is Biomode 14, and Biomode is not happening every year. So, but that was the first one. Marlon was doing a residence with Angelo in Houston, when they were like, I think it was in 2003.
Wow. So that's like our equivalent would be that guy, like we couldn't find that guy, right? This British guy who was joining at, I think, Tim, when we first met online. There was this other guy on Jitsi.
Oh yeah, I didn't never post, like, actually you sent it to me and I never posted in the group.
It's fine. It's
We need to find that guy at some point.
He's OG.
We need to find the OG. We met like maybe we need 20 years. So now we are just maybe in 10 years, like 10 years. 10 years we met in a conference. By the way, like the guy come to us like, I remember you guys. I'm Tim. Here I am. What's up?
How's your practice going?
Yeah. So yeah, it's short that
Sorry.
so I think the first step is like, I think there is an opportunity to do something in the EFE in UNAM is the university, is like the Nacho in Mexico, the F.
Right.
And UNAM, and the head of the department of dance is somebody who Marlon knows, and he met her by chance during this period. And she said there is the chance to do something. I mean, no, there's the chance, no, that there is a space to be there in November. We need to find then together with the network what is that we want to do.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
November is tricky, right? So,
November is now.
hmm?
Yeah,
Yeah.
November is now, and also, yeah, we have different compromises. So we need to think with the network, how are we gonna showcase maybe some things from within the network, or maybe do a small open call. We still need to find sources, like resources for some people. Said, for instance, I think I could have a funding from Belgium, but some people cannot. So we need to see together how to make it happen. But this is to say that before going to Miami, there is the chance that maybe we could go and show, because Marlon knows very much about what we're doing, and also the network. Um, so I guess there we could show something also there,
I see.
especially at the intersection with artificial intelligence, I think.
Right.
Do we have performances in November?
Yes. Both are
Like,
in November. So STL is end of September, and then the two others are November, I think.
October, September, Marina, no, Düsseldorf, no, October, September, wait. When did you say? The end of September, Marina, Budapest is November, right?
Yeah.
That's the last week of, no, the first week of November.
Ish. Yeah, like sixth
No, no,
from
no, no.
sixth.
Yeah, 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 I was just confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, first week of Bucharest. And STL, when is it?
No, the Kinoshishka is the end of
Oh, yeah,
November.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. So we only will have 2 weeks, and I mean, you're working, so you have to see what happens,
Let's
how to
see.
make it. But I think I probably will try to go to Mexico.
Yep.
I have never been in the F. Mexico sounds an incredible place. Always when I talk with people who are in this crossover, Mexico sounds a beautiful place to be.
Yep. Totally.
Have you been there?
No, I said totally because of what I hear also. So, but it's also like a kind of exhausting place, Mexico City, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine, I would just imagine that it should be like a bit like Bogota. But I mean, that was also my feeling that from what people said and with Rio. And when I went to Rio, it's just a different level of mayhem.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. No way. But Rio was wild. I spent the budget of 2 months in 2 weeks. It was wild. I woke up in the beach twice with people, locals, they poke me with a stick, like, what are you doing? Like, you can die. This is really dangerous. Like, and I was, with all very touristic, very, very gringo, uh, and just sleeping on the sand. And people like, no, no, don't do that.
They're
It
nice
was wild.
people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was wild. I run away from Rio. Like, oh my God, what was I gonna do? Like, Rio was crazy. Yeah. So I don't know how it will be Mexico, but I'm looking forward. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I'm just like, I guess, have this energy, but I have to say also that I read the paper, that I read the interviews and the conclusions and the abstract. I found it very, very interesting, the insights of the paper, indeed.
Yeah. 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 It's, I think it's kind of like, how to say, like a blueprint, or like it kind of shows, how we can do research in our production, let's say. But then I saw the comment from Nuno. I don't know if
Wait,
you
maybe we should just cut here and also we
yeah.
can publish this and
Yeah.
then we just talk about the work.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Watch the
Thanks for
next one.
watching.
Watch the next one. Follow up.
You can be a team, so you can join as a, in the backstage where we talk, random things. If I don't know what I'm saying.
No, nobody will know this. Forget about it.
Sorry.
See you in a bit.
Wait, how can I stop it? Oh.